In other news now, Indian origin US politician Zohran Mamdani is likely to become New York's first Muslim mayor. The man, who claims to be a young progressive voice, has divided Indians though after his previous comments went viral. Mamdani has surfaced with the Pakistani lobbyists in the United States, participated in rallies held by Khalistanis, and even gone to the extent of calling Prime Minister Narendra Modi a war criminal. In another viral video, Mamdani spewed more venom, claiming that Gujarati Muslims have been wiped out. He's also campaigned for Babri Masjid, claimed India's COVID deaths were deliberate, and publicly read Umar Khalid's notes. Indian leaders like Abhishek Manu Singhvi have called him a Pakistani PR boy. Clearly, many also are saying, is this now New York's version of London Mayor Sadiq Khan? Joining us live at this point is Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, former diplomat. Sumit Peer, political commentator, is live with us. Adit Kothari, international affairs expert, joins us live. Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, is also with us now on the broadcast. Ambassador Dayal, let me make a start with you first. What do you make of this development that has taken place in New York? Zohran Mamdani clinching the Democratic ticket, winning the Democratic primary. He is now most likely to be the next mayor of New York.
Well, our discussion today is significant, both because the position of the mayor of New York City is considered extremely important, and because someone like Zohran Mamdani is the front runner for it. Now, New York City is a global hub with immense importance in finance, culture, media, and international diplomacy. It is the most populous city in the United States, and it's a key player on the world stage. It is often referred to as the financial capital of the world, and it's also the headquarters of the United Nations. Now, previous mayors of New York have been very powerful names. When I was posted as Consul General in New York, the mayor was Michael Bloomberg, who was a very important figure in the world of finance, media, and politics. He was, in fact, one of the richest people in the world. Earlier, Rudy Giuliani had been the mayor. Now, yesterday what happened is that Zohran Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo for the Democratic Party's primary for the mayor's election. Now, defeating Cuomo is a political upset, since he's a powerful political figure and has served as the governor of New York State. Now, since New York is a stronghold of the Democrats, Mamdani will perhaps become the city's first Muslim mayor if he wins the general election in November. Now, Zohran Mamdani had built his platform around issues like housing, public transit, and international peace. However, his views in India, and especially his rhetoric against PM Modi and the Hindu community, have attracted the most attention back home here in India. A social media post that has gone viral says that he harbors a deep hatred for both Hindus and Jews and tacitly supports violence against them. One of the most contentious episodes dates back to August 2020, when there was a protest in Times Square, and where Zohran Mamdani joined the demonstrators in opposing the Ram Mandir construction. And according to eyewitnesses and social media coverage, protesters there were heard chanting anti-Hindu slogans and hurling abuses at Lord Ram. And Zohran Mamdani was standing there and tacitly giving his approval for everything that was happening. Now, his hostile comments on Prime Minister Narendra Modi have also generated a lot of controversy. During a campaign event in May, Mamdani criticized Prime Minister Modi over the 2002 Gujarat riots. He called Prime Minister Modi a war criminal, drawing parallels with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, these remarks were met with sharp criticism by Indian leaders across party lines. Congress leader Abhishek Singhvi posted on X that when Zohran Mamdani opens his mouth, Pakistan's PR team takes the day off. That is, he is doing publicity for Pakistan.
Yes.
He's like their spokesman. Then, Zohran Mamdani's assertion that Prime Minister Modi wiped out Gujarati Muslims was widely condemned as provocative and factually baseless. Uh, Gujarat's
Yes.
2021 census data shows
Yes.
Muslims make up roughly 10% of the state's population
Yes.
and are over 6 million, contradicting any notion of demographic erasure.
Okay.
Now, Omar Ghazi, let me tell you, Omar Ghazi, who is a Muslim political analyst, has said that this lie by Mamdani shows he will lie through his teeth for his ideological goals. And Indian community leaders in New York have also criticized Zohran Mamdani's hate-filled rhetoric.
Absolutely. So this is a pass that you've clearly laid out for us, Ambassador Dayal. What does this then mean, Sumit Peer, for, of course, governance in New York, for also, relations of the Indian diaspora with him in New York, and also going ahead? Sumit, can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost him. Adit Kothari, why don't you take that? What does this then mean for the governance of New York? If an individual who's made these kind of remarks in the past, who has this controversial history, is now going to become mayor of the city?
In summary, if we look at Zohran Mamdani, he can be termed as an opportunistic politician who is diffusing both socialism and Islamism as a blend that weaponizes free speech against free speech and licenses very regressive politics clubbed with social welfare. His ascent into power will basically enslave New Yorkers and will completely erode their liberty, to say the least. I mean, he is a pathological liar who's overstepping his very authority granted to him by the Constitution, which basically takes away, it doesn't give him the right to arrest any world leader. Forget about, Netanyahu. I mean, the United States is not a signatory to the International Court of Criminal Justice, to say the least. So he doesn't actually have the rights to go and arrest either Prime Minister Modi or Netanyahu. All of these things, he is basically pandering to the most vulnerable section of society, where he's clubbing both socialist politics, Freakonomics, and the Islamist agenda, which is basically pandering the Islamists in New York, which is a massive community which votes as a complete consolidated vote bank. So we know that in the silence of all of this, his bigotry, his anti-Semitism, his anti-Hindu rhetoric, where he also canvassed for the anti-caste bill and the anti-swastika bill, that's all taken a backseat. So I'm glad that there are consensus within the Indian polity, whether it be Kangana Ranaut or Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who have come out to say that this guy needs to be looked at very carefully, because he's definitely not a friend, and the smile on his face is artificial. It's basically toxic, and you need to call that out. Uday.
Professor Madhav Nalapad, let me quickly draw you in here. Is this going to be a redux now of what we've seen in London? Is this going to be another Sadiq Khan in the making in New York now?
Well, I would like to say that this person, is way more extreme than Sadiq Khan by his express statements. I mean, Sadiq Khan has not given anti-Semitic rhetoric or anti-Hindu rhetoric, to the best of my knowledge. Frankly, I was initially very happy that somebody from the subcontinent, Meera Nair's son, had become the mayoral candidate. And then I looked into his background. I was totally horrified. I'm sure President Trump must be doing an FBI check of his background, and I think you will see a lot of linkages with GHQ Rawalpindi. There's no doubt that Abhishek Manu Singhvi is absolutely right. And I'm frankly horrified that this person's record has not been sufficient to alert enough New Yorkers, including within the Muslim community, about getting him elected. The man is talking like an extremist of the worst hue. He's talking in almost in a genocidal manner. He's talking about genocide which never happened, and he's basically, in effect, his words are basically a kind of a dog whistle for genocide. I mean, against Hindus, against Jews, And I'm sorry, but New York City, the Jewish community and the Hindu community have contributed very significantly to New York. And I think, frankly, Muslims also need to make themselves heard and make it very clear that this kind of view does not represent their views. I mean, in a multicultural, multi-ethnic world, this person is purely out of place. So, he's called a democratic socialist. I mean, the double misnomer. How can he be democratic when he does not accept the results of a democratic election in which the democratically chosen leader was Narendra Modi? And you call him a Democrat. I mean, CNN has been calling him a democratic socialist from the very beginning. It is absolutely wrong. He is no Democrat at all. He does not accept the results of democracy, accept results that are tailored to his requirements. And when you talk about socialism, I mean, and of course, some Republicans call him a communist. A communist doesn't believe in religion. A socialist doesn't take religion seriously enough to basically hate another community or spout extreme views. He is neither democratic nor a socialist. I wish channels like CNN would stop calling him a democratic socialist, because they're doing a great disservice to that term. That term has been grossly misused. It does not fit Mamdani at all. It is a complete double misnomer, and I think news channels in the United States and elsewhere in the world need to pick up his views, pick up his viral utterances, pick up the kind of hate he's been talking about, especially about Hindus and the Jewish community. I mean, both communities that have done so much to build New York into what it is. My worry is that, if this gentleman ever becomes the mayor of New York, I think that is going to be the end of the York City's success story. And I would say, for example, New York is going to go down the tube very soon after that. One single term will be enough for that, and everyone will suffer. Everyone of every religion will suffer. Everyone of every faith will suffer when jobs are lost, when people of ability flee, and when basically the streets will not be safe, because this kind of a hateful individual is giving license to violent elements to do what they like against the Jewish people and the Hindu people. So I would like to say, I think, the citizens of New York,
Yes.
if this gentleman ever becomes a mayor, are in for a very, very unpleasant surprise.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Ambassador Dayal, this would be very concerning for the Indian diaspora. Looking at his past history, as you have also elaborated and the others on our panel have as well, for Hindus as well, who reside in New York, this is very concerning. He's a threat to them.
Yes, indeed. Community leaders have come forward and expressed their anxiety regarding Zohran. For instance, Jaspreet Singh, who's a Sikh human rights lawyer, has been quoted as saying that Zohran has used his platform to amplify some of the worst anti-Hindu rhetoric imaginable. He has also said that associating Hindus with fascism and using derogatory words against them is highly condemnable. Another community leader who's the New York Assembly member, Jennifer Rajkumar, has also reportedly condemned Mamdani's comments about Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi and said that at a time when New Yorkers are struggling with issues like rising crime, a housing crisis, and growing hate, we can't afford to be distracted by extreme, divisive language about famous foreign leaders. Now, it has all been summed up by our own Kangana Ranawat, who has expressed anxiety regarding Zohran Mamdani, and she has said that while his mother is the famous Indian filmmaker Meera Nair, and his father is of Gujarati origin, he sounds more Pakistani than Indian because he is ready to wipe out Hinduism. So there is a lot of justified concern about Zohran Mamdani. And let's see how things pan out. Because if he becomes the mayor, then there is this sinister possibility of the anti-Hindu elements and the anti-Jewish elements becoming more strong in New York City, and this will not augur well at all for communal peace there.
All right, let me, in fact, yes, take that to you as well, Adit. This also gives the Republican Party an issue to target the Democrats on. I think Donald Trump, J.D. Vance have all put out posts on their concern that this individual has now got the Democratic Party ticket to fight the New York elections. They're very concerned that with all his background and rhetoric, he's now won the Democratic primaries. This gives them, a poll issue now.
Definitely, it does present them with a poll issue, provided they understand Zohran Mamdani. They're able to decodify him properly.
No, but Trump and Vance have both called him out. Let me tell you.
They've called him out as a communist so far. They've not called him out as an Islamist. They haven't called him out for what he's doing, staging federal Islamist politics on the streets of New York, giving foreign politics a space in New York. And, that sort of impedes both the lives of New Yorkers and diminishes the political choice of New Yorkers in general. So that is not what they've called him out for. Looking at his other instances, other approaches, even though his mother is Hindu, he never came out to stop and impede his supporters who were using dehumanizing slurs against the Hindus, calling them haramis and calling them bastards. I do apologize for my French, but those were the words that his supporters.
No, but let's not use those words on national television, please, Adit.
Using, and as a consequence, he never came out to condemn them or to stop them. So that basically shows the school of thought that he actually comes from. So all in all, he is an outright Islamist who is using the plank of socialism to ply on the vulnerable and to get both the vulnerable votes and the consolidated Muslim vote bank in New York to further his electoral relevance, electoral politics. The New Yorkers have to realize that this man is extremely dangerous to and if they don't, then New York City basically ceases to be the kind of city that it was. It was a city that ensured there was space for everybody to grow, anybody with ambition, anybody who came with some sort of ambition to grow in life was given space in New York City. And that basically ceases to exist. So New Yorkers will have to come out when the mayoral elections happen. They will need to come out and call this man out and ensure that they electorally diminish him.
I also apologize once for those for the language used by one of our guests on this broadcast to our viewers. But quickly, drawing you in here, Professor Nalapat, now on the road ahead for this individual, if he is really now becoming the Democratic face, and now there are even some who are saying that he is perhaps solidifying his name for a possible presidential run in the future. What does that really tell us about the Democratic Party and also the state of affairs in the United States of America?
Quite frankly, the Democratic Party comprises a large number of people, and I think the overwhelming majority will not be of the same opinion as this gentleman clearly is. I think it's going to happen that an independent candidate who's basically a Democrat is going to run against him, because Democrats must be horrified now at what has come out about him. And this is the problem in politics, that the nasty stuff usually comes out only after an election and not before, as it should be coming out. So very frankly, I think an independent is going to stand against him and take away a large number of votes, but that is enough to stop him from being mayor, because New York is a solidly democratic city. I don't know, but the reality is, I don't blame people, New Yorkers, especially those who have got real estate in New York, are being concerned, because the values of the real estate are going to plummet downwards, and the values of the investments in New York are going to plummet downwards. Quite frankly, a few weeks after this gentleman takes over as the mayor of New York.
Okay.
Frankly, it's a nightmare scenario for New Yorkers. One of the most wonderful cities in the world to
Yes.
visit and to stay in for a short while.
Okay. Okay. Let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion.